Steve Barhood from Showtime. You're checking out Ring King TV.
Big event coming up at Madison Square Garden on November 2nd. Broadcast live by HBO. The WBA Middleweight Championship of the World. And you're about to meet the promoters and the key people and the fighters. Before we continue, on behalf of Pay2 Promotions, Main Events, and HBO Sports, I just want to mention we'd like to express our sorrow to the friends and family of Tommy Morrison in his passing. He left us much too early at the age of 44, and I hope that everybody can remember that Tommy was one of the brightest stars of boxing, a movie star at 21, and a heavyweight contender and WBO champion at the ages of 22, 23, 24, 25. A young fighter that I hope we all remember those 48 victories and 42 KOs, and not just the 3 defeats and the tragedy of his life. So, if I may continue, the heavyweight division is the big boys, and a lot of people like to say that heavyweights control the popularity of the sport. But in the sport of boxing, especially over the last 60, 65 years, what has come to be recognized as 1B after 1A being the heavyweights is the middleweight division. The average Joe can recognize that when you see a fighter that weighs 160 pounds, 5'9" to 6 feet tall, they think, hey, that could be me. You know, that's just a regular guy. But they have the power of a big boy, they've got the speed and the ability of the smaller fighters. You know, and from Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Leonard being recognized as the classy, good-looking guys, we've got the maulers and brawlers like Hagler and Basilio and Gene Fulmer. And it's just always been a classic weight division that the average fan can relate to. And I think that's what makes it today's true glamour division. And we're going to have 2 of the best in the ring on November 2nd at Madison Square Garden in a great fight. And Madison Square Garden, of course, always historically recognized as the mecca of boxing. That'll be on HBO. And a lot of people don't realize this, that Curtis Stevens has never been defeated as a middleweight fighter. His 3 defeats were all at super middleweight. So technically speaking, we've got 2 undefeated middleweights and 2 undefeated heavyweights to make a great night of boxing. One of those points that I'd like to make. And behind a record like that, where you know, Curtis is undefeated as a middleweight and challenging for the title, behind every great fighter, you've always got great trainers and great training camps that get them in shape. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the 2 trainers. First of all, Curtis's trainer, who, by the way, I want to talk to you later. I've got a trademark that I'd like to help get marketing, and I understand you've got that thing Havoc going, so we'll have to organize that. But he's taken Curtis to this middleweight challenge for the world title, and he's the creator of the Havoc brand, and he's also the creator of a fine middleweight contender. And Curtis Stevens here is his head trainer, Rozier.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. To get right to the point, Curtis has been boxing since he was 5 years old. I started taking him to the gym with my other nephews because my sisters were working and they didn't want to pay for babysitters. So they took my time and utilized it to the best of their abilities. And from early on, from his first fight at the age of 8, when I saw him digging shots on his little opponent, I said, Curtis has a knack for punishing his opponents. And this became apparent from his Silver Glove championships all the way to the U.S. championships. And I say this because this wasn't something that just happened. we groomed, we created, we made sure that he was becoming a world-class athlete. And he took that into the professional ranks where he was highly touted. And he had some pitfalls, but he has grown, he's matured, and I don't happen to think that he's green. Some people do think so, but I think that he is a solid middleweight. He's exciting. He is the biggest punching middleweight in the division. And I'm looking forward to this match. I watched Gennady. I'm a big fan of his. He comes to fight. Seems like a great young man. But on November 2nd, we have to meet each other and we have to get it on. And like what we say in Brooklyn, when it's time to rumble, it's time to go. So come on out November 2nd. We will be ready, and Curtis will be the new middleweight champion of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. All right, the next trainer I'd like to introduce you to is a gentleman that I personally go back to 1987. First time we met was in Bordeaux, and you were training Lupi Aquino, who challenged for the in Dwayne Thomas for the junior middleweight title, and he wanted that match, and he ate his way out of the fight. But that's another story. Fighters can't do that sometimes. But Abel and I go back quite a ways, and let me introduce to you at this time the head trainer for Triple G, Mr. Abel Sanchez.
I'd like to thank MSG and HBO for providing this platform for Gennady to once again shine. I'm not underestimating Curtis. I know that he's had some very good wins of late, but I think we're looking at the next, in Gennady Golovkin, the next superstar in boxing. I don't think that it'll last more than 5 rounds, either way. If Curtis comes out to fight, it's going to get shorter. If he doesn't, well, then it may be a little longer, but I truly believe that you're looking at the next superstar boxing, so don't miss it.
Thank you, Abel. You know, the one thing, I think, Joe, you have to agree that a great thing about having these two fighters fight at Madison Square Garden, you probably don't have to pay overtime, because, you know, when it gets time to the main event, 2-3 rounds and the fight is over and all those ushers are punching out. It's a great night for the payroll at Madison Square Garden for management.